Here's our entire interview with the band. And we don't interview whole bands that often, but it's fun. Pablo Cruz. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Book. Growing up in eastern New Brunswick, one of the things that we did a lot was sing songs in the hallway. And when we'd sing What You Gonna Do, we'd go by each other and we wouldn't sing anything else but bam, 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 bam. And the other person knew what that meant. We talk about all the hits with Pablo Cruz.
Did you guys ask Larry about Tom Hanks the second you met him, or what? Or did you know?
That was one of the first questions. Yeah, what was that like? You know, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, Robbie.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
Hey, John.
There's Robbie.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're talking about Tom Hanks. Never mind Pablo Cruz. Never mind any of that stuff.
Yeah, Tom, just like you think he is. He's beautiful. Really a sweetheart, unbelievably a charming guy, and very supportive, because I came in not as an actor, you know, I'm a musician, but I was cast, and he made me feel right at home after the first day of shoot. He goes, "So now you're a musician and an actor." And I went, he didn't have to say that to me. And that was nice. That's all I'm saying. He was generous.
You just bring that out of people, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his spirit. Oh, thank you.
You're beautiful, man. You're beautiful.
Yeah, man, you're beautiful.
I know. I was like, but I didn't continue pursuing acting because I realized that, okay, those guys are like Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock, and I'm coming in a couple lines here, and but boy, the acting chop is another thing.
No kidding.
Sure
Hey,
is, yeah.
so guys, how does a band regroup? How does a band change its paradigm during COVID-19? I mean, this is almost an insurmountable thing, but it will end one day.
Yeah, it'll end. But you know what?
Yeah.
We stayed productive over some of this time. I mean, you know, everybody doing their part on this video from home with green screen, and then, you know, shooting their stuff to Corey. Corey assembled all this crazy stuff and went for the images and stuff, and it turned out pretty fun, you know. But that's one thing, and then, you know, and then writing the song, everybody chipped in on writing it, and
Yeah.
But we have like some periodic Zoom meetings, and we also can rehearse. Larry actually has a studio. He actually took over Glenn Campbell's studio, which is about 10 minutes from me. So we get there and we're able to, you know, rehearse and social distance, and you know, it's kind of weird because you just get, you know, you're together and you got to be careful and you're thinking about this whole thing, but you know, we're still playing, you know, and everybody's playing on their own and doing other things, but you know, thank God for this Zoom. I mean, this has been amazing, you know, be able to communicate. And
Helps out a lot.
It's amazing how massive this Zoom has become from this pandemic, you know.
Yeah,
it's like
no kidding.
everything's Zoom.
With Robbie, I know you're past, and by the way, guys, he's got the best hair. I'm just going to say that right now.
the hair.
Shaking my head though.
Gotta say it.
He does.
But anyway, nice vocals. But this is a band that I love because I love bands like the Eagles. I love the Beach Boys. I love the soaring LRB. I just talked to Glenn Shurek a little while ago.
You talked to the real LRB.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
That's a sad thing, eh?
Oh.
Robbie, I could talk about Roger Waters here in a second, but nice vocals, and
Thank you.
You're just known for kicking out of the park, man. That's strong stuff.
Well, thanks, man. We had a lot of fun recording that song, and it's been quite an honor for me because with these guys, Dave and Corey, and even when Steve was in the band, it's come full circle for me because, you know, I was always a Pablo Cruz fan and saw them in my hometown of Traverse City, Michigan when I was in high school in concert, and here I am singing for Pablo Cruz. So it's pretty amazing for me. I'm just glad to be a part of this band and part of the writing of that song. It was great.
I'll ask both the newer guys, how did you get into the band? How does that happen? I mean, obviously you have to do the work, and we always have this conversation with musicians where they go, well, my golly, gee, I'm so glad I'm there. And I'm going, well, you did the work. That's why. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, I was out, you know, on the road with Roger Waters, 2010 to 2016. And then shortly thereafter, after the tour ended and Roger decided to change the band out, the timing was like perfect because I'd just gotten off the road. And Larry, my brother Larry down there, we've been working together for years and been in several different bands around town. And Larry they were looking for another vocalist. And Larry put my name in the hat and said, hey, you know, I think Robbie's off the road. Why don't you give Robbie a call? And the thing is that Corey and I worked together about 20 years ago or so. We did a Hot Wheels recording session called Racers.
I'll never forget that session. I was kind of going, oh my gosh, it's Corey from Pablo Cruz, man.
Yeah.
How's it go, Robbie? Acceleration!
Yeah, it was a hard rock.
And Larry, how did it happen for you?
I got a message on my answer machine. It was October 15th, 2009.
Who's
at
smelling?
3 p.m. And I was on Ventura Boulevard, and Dave Jenkins, it was on the message going, this is Dave Jenkins from Pablo Cruz. We were looking for a bass player, and I went, somebody's really messing with me, man. And I called the number back. And he goes, hello? And I go, is this Dave Jenkins? He goes, yes. And I just going, well, oh, this is
What do you
actually
want?
maybe
What do you
real.
want?
And we had a conversation. He talked about it, and I was like, you guys are my favorite band since all the way back. I learned all these songs way back when they came out. He goes, yeah, we're looking for, we want to put together a bass player, a singer, take it to the next level. And he goes, give Corey a call. He's out there by you. And okay. And I called Corey, and I go out to Corey's house, and we did some recording and I did some bass playing and some singing. And then I left, and I didn't quite hear anything. And he goes, come back. And I came back. And then we did some more recording, and he didn't say you're in the band yet, right? And I go, okay. I went home, and I got my studio out. I put a drum track and the bass track for Place in the Sun and sang it down, made an MP3 and sent it to Corey. And I know I nailed it. And he listened to it, and he goes, awesome, you're in the band, with an email back to me. And I was like, woo!
Pablo Cruz was actually like a three-legged dog, because our bass player, the original bass player, Bud Cockrell, was an amazing bass player, and he just nailed every song that we recorded in the studio. Not only incredible live, great vocalist and all, but when Bud left, we kept trying to find a bass player that could fill that bill. And Bud was like Joe Cocker or something. This guy, I don't know if you are familiar with his stuff, but he sang Place in the Sun. He sang the duet part with Dave on What You Gonna Do, and he just had this presence on stage that was unbelievable. I mean, he was a big part of the reason Pablo got signed A&M and all. So he leaves, we try to find a new bass player. And we found a guy that would work on stage, but never could really, we weren't comfortable in the studio. So we played bass on a lot of our songs at that point. But once we found Larry, I mean, he was the full package, and he went in and learned pretty much everything Bud played on the records. And then since then, he's embellished, because he's a real virtuoso. I don't like to say that in front of him, but it's true. And so it was just like home, the band really, it all of a sudden became this really great band to play live again. Such an important part, if you don't have a good bass player and drummer, it's not a fun thing.
I'll ask both the newer guys, how did you get into the band? How does that happen?
Yeah, well, I was on the road with Roger Waters, 2010 to 2016, and then shortly thereafter, after the tour ended and Roger decided to change the band out, the timing was like perfect, because I'd just gotten off the road, and Larry, my brother Larry down there, we've been working together for years and been in several different bands around town, and Larry they were looking for another vocalist, and Larry put my name in the hat and said, hey, I think Robbie's off the road, why don't you give Robbie a call? And the thing is that Corey and I worked together about 20 years ago or so. We did a Hot Wheels recording session called the Trail Racers. I'll never forget that session. I was kind of going, oh my gosh, it's Corey from Pablo Cruz, man.
Yeah.
How's it go, Robbie? Acceleration!
Yeah, it was a hard rock.
And Larry, how did it happen for you?
I got a message on my answer machine. It was October 15th, 2009.
Who's smelling?
3 p.m. And I was on Ventura Boulevard, and Dave Jenkins, it was on the message going, this is Dave Jenkins from Pablo Cruz. We were looking for a bass player, and I went, somebody's really messing with me, man. And I called the number back. And he goes, hello? And I go, is this Dave Jenkins? He goes, yes. And I was just going, well, oh, this is
What do you want? What do you want?
And we had a conversation. He talked about it, and I was like, you guys are my favorite band since all the way back. I learned all these songs way back when they came out. He goes, yeah, we're looking for, we want to put together a bass player, a singer, take it to the next level. And he goes, give Corey a call. He's out there by you. And okay. And I called Corey, and I go out to Corey's house, and we did some recording and I did some bass playing and some singing. And then I left, and I didn't quite hear anything. And he goes, come back. And I came back. And then we did some more recording, and he didn't say you're in the band yet, right? And I go, okay. I went home and I got my studio out. I put a drum track and the bass track for Place in the Sun and sang it down, made an MP3 and sent it to Corey. And I know I nailed it. And he listened to it and he goes, awesome, you're in the band, with an email back to me. And I was like, woo!
Pablo Cruz was actually like a three-legged dog because our bass player, the original bass player, Bud Cockrell, was an amazing bass player. And he just nailed every song that we recorded in the studio. Not only incredible live, great vocalist and all, but when Bud left, we kept trying to find a bass player that could fill that bill. And Bud was like Joe Cocker or something. This guy, I don't know if you are familiar with his stuff, but he sang Place in the Sun. He sang a duet part with Dave on What You Gonna Do. And he just had this presence on stage that was unbelievable. I mean, he was a big part of the reason Pablo got signed A&M and all. So he leaves, we try to find a new bass player. And we found a guy that would work on stage, but never could really, we weren't comfortable in the studio, so we played bass on a lot of our songs at that point. But once we found Larry, I mean, he was the full package, and he went in and learned pretty much everything Bud played on the records. And then since then, he's embellished because he's a real virtuoso. I don't like to say that in front of him, but it's true. And so it was just like home, the band really, it all of a sudden became this really great band to play live again. Such an important part, if you don't have a good bass player and drummer, it's not a fun thing.
Well, Corey and Dave, I've run into, as you can imagine, because I'm 60. I'm covering people who are my age and older on rock history music. And I'm always talking about, why'd that guy leave? How come you hate him? And I don't say that, but you guys have stood the test of time. I mean, it's rare. It shouldn't happen because it doesn't happen very often. I'll start with this. What was your first impression of each other when you met each other?
The first
time.
time.
You mean initially?
Yeah.
Well, quickly, when a buddy of ours who was a whack job, but knew Dave, said, you need to come in and meet this guy and hear him. And I just remember meeting him, and he just sang a couple songs he was working on, and it was like probably the most unique voice I'd heard in so long. I mean, it was instant, like, this guy's great. And then that was the first initial thing. And we hit it off too. We were buddies and we hung out a lot and had, did a lot of stuff that we would probably not talk about. But it was an instant friendship. I mean, it's in that friendship is, through all the years, it ebbs and flows, but it's still brothers, And
the thing is, Corey had a band at that time out of Palo Alto and the Bay Area, the South Bay Area, a band called Together. So after we met, I started hanging with those guys and playing. I think I came in on bass, right?
Yeah,
after
you're right.
The guy left, and then we switched over to me playing guitar. But then in '73, I guess, we were playing with a band called Stoneground, Steve and Corey and I, and then. I remember Corey and I sitting on the beach in Santa Cruz, Capitola Beach, saying we should do our own thing. And then we found Bud and it started that.
Yeah, I had met Bud with Stoneground out somewhere in Mississippi or whatever. He was playing with a band called It's a Beautiful Day. And it was, again, seeing somebody that was just unique to, what you normally see. I mean, he was like just this great looking guy, got out and kicked ass. And he was just such a great singer. And so I said, one of these days it'd be great because he wasn't so happy with Beautiful Day. And it all just sort of came together. And Bud was a unique, just one of a kind character and a lot of work, really, really difficult guy to pin down. At one point, decided he didn't want to have a phone and he lived like 40 minutes from where we rehearsed. And the only way we could tell him we were going to rehearse, we'd have to drive out there.
Oh, why did he leave? Here you get your first big album and all of a sudden he leaves. Why did he leave?
We'll know that as soon as we know who killed Kennedy.
His wife was the lead singer in this band, Beautiful Day. There was a big hit called White Bird. I don't know if you remember that song. Yeah. And that was his wife. So, she was very demanding and she wanted to have her own band and she wanted Bud in the band. And so, it was ridiculous that he did it because that he left. But what was really more ridiculous was A&M gave him his own deal right in the middle of What You Gonna Do breaking, around the country, around, U.S., Canada. And we all of a sudden have a top 5 record and we get a call and Bud says, I'm leaving. And it was so bad for him. And then we just picked up the pieces, you know. Dave took over lead vocals, and we just wrote some good new music. But it was terrible. It was ridiculous. Why A&M would even, you know, spend 3 years with us, investing in us, you know, and in Bud, and then give him his own deal so he can leave the band.
Which Beatle? You know what I mean. Which is your favorite Beatle?
Paul.
All of them are pretty.
I liked all of them, but John Lennon was my guy. I love that.
Paul for me, of course.
Yeah, I'd probably lean more towards Paul myself.
Yeah.
Full
Yeah,
Bible.
I'm a Paul guy.
And Yoko.
You're out.
I tell you,
Love her
first
vocals.
of the road.
Such a good singer.
Okay, Stones or the Beatles? This won't take long.
Beatles.
Oh,
Beatles.
Stuff.
Beatles for sure.
What's the most money you've ever spent on a car?
Wow.
I know this is a
I've
little.
spent upwards of $100,000.
What was it, by the way?
A Volkswagen camper. No, it was a Porsche.
Was that a 911?
Yeah, it was a Carrera. It was pretty hopped up.
That's a 79 you're talking about? Or 70?
Oh, back then, yeah. Back then, I bought a Porsche. It was $27,000.
You had one more recently too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a when in Rome thing. I mean, when you're in that kind of lifestyle, you know, you get big payoffs here and there, and you buy something shiny.
Yeah, I just love that car. You know, I like Porsche, so you know.
Dave?
I think maybe $22,000.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I don't buy big cars. I'm not a big.
Larry and Robbie?
30,000 for me. Just modest guy.
18,000 for me, 20,000. Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, I take it back. 16,000.
Okay, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage? This is a good way of including all of you guys.
Okay, I can give you one. We played at Ebbets Field in Denver. You know, I do this big piano thing, this song called Ocean Breeze, and it was a packed house, and I had a sport coat on, and just before I start to play the song, I take the coat off, and my arm gets caught like this, and so I'm totally locked in the sleeve, and I'm, you know, the spotlight's on me. And I remember one of our roadies had to come out and actually take the coat off of me.
Oh man, I didn't remember that at all.
Oh man, that was super embarrassing.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
Guys?
Like, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
hey.
You got frozen
What's the other
shoulder.
guy?
Frozen shoulder.
What about you, Larry and Robbie?
Let's see here.
I'll tell you while he's thinking about it.
Go. I was just a couple for me.
Not too long ago, and it was embarrassing, but it was also a little bit disastrous. We were playing in San Mateo Fair.
Oh gosh.
Robbie
And,
knows.
Scary though.
it was a big indoor venue. I don't know how many people were there, 3,000, 4,000. It was a pretty good sized crowd. And they had these big bass subwoofers in front of the stage. There were 4 of them. And each of us walked out on the subwoofers and dig me, I'm a rock star kind of thing, standing there playing a solo. And then I turn around to step back on the stage, and the subwoofers split apart and I just disappeared.
We're all on the subwoofers. I look over, Dave's doing his solo. You know, and all of a sudden he just disappears, and I just watch him fall into the.
He's on stage right, and I saw it go down, and it was like he was protecting the guitar too.
Yeah, he was.
It was at least
guitar hit the barrier.
Like 10
So then I picked myself up. The song's still going on. In fact, it was Love Will Find a Way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. The very end.
I only had one more song to go. And I picked myself up and said, all right, that hurt a little bit, but I'm okay. I can do it. So I ran down the length of the front of the stage and the curtain and everything, went through the curtain, across the big floor, up the steps, and across this big stage out to the microphone again. And we finished the song, you know, and we've got this a cappella ending that we do. And then Corey, I look over at Corey and he goes, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." And then I looked down and he looked down and there's this pool of blood around my right foot.
It was scary.
Usher. It was like his pants were
And
pulsating
it was like
this.
oh my God.
It was bad.
It was a huge pile of blood.
I just said,
Where was the
Good
blood
night,
coming
good
from?
night,
Where did you hurt yourself? Where was the blood coming from?
my shin, I caught on the way down on that fall, I caught one of the cross members of the stage and the hole in my jeans was minuscule, but it ripped back the.
Show him.
I don't
Show me your scars, man.
You can't see. There you go.
Do you see
gnarly.
this? Yeah. There's a V there. I don't know. But anyway, it was straight to emergency and stitches. And it was really something because there was a doctor on call at the venue who was a urologist, but still he knew the ins and outs of the emergency room at that hospital because he worked there. And so he got me in straight into the room. The on-call doctor looks at it. He says, "Wow, we're going to have to put in a catheter."
That's right.
Oh
Nice
my God.
guy. So then, he's 20 stitches and sent me home. So, but that was one of those.
What a way to end the show, though.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
spectacular.
The next day, Corey goes, Dave, we got a lot of good reports on YouTube about that, and maybe you could do that again every show. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Trail of blood that you left too was just like,
Oh my God,
thought you were going to bleed out. We had to get like a tourniquet
Yeah.
and tie his leg off. We didn't know. It was so much blood.
that was my most.
I want to hear Larry's.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, very embarrassing what happened. I was playing this club Vibrato back in Frank Stallone of all people, right? And I'm playing, and all of a sudden the bass starts getting a little softer and softer. And these are charts. I mean, there's horn section, musical director from England, the whole thing on a grand piano, and it's packed with Hollywood people, all the writers and actors and all this stuff. And I'm up there, and suddenly we got through 3 or 4 charts, and the bass just starts going away, and I'm turning up the volume at the amp, and I go, this can't be happening. The battery in the bass started to die. It was slowly going down until there was nothing. And there's no stopping this hour-and-a-half set, right? It's just a show. And everything's written out. He got his spiel he talks about there and his thing he talks about there. And I'm going, after about 2 minutes, I go, there's no more bass, and I'm just fingering it. And people are starting to look at me like, what happened?
Yeah, right.
And then the song ended, and then he had this about 3-minute spiel that he does about his brother, right? All the stuff, he imitates Sly and all that. And I just shimmy off the stage. I have to go get my gig bag, get my Phillips screwdriver, take the plate off where the knobs are, right? Pull the 9-volt battery out. And I yelled at the guy the stagehand that was helping me, get me a 9-volt, because I didn't have one. And he ran up to the sound booth and got one, came back in about 30 seconds. So I go, Frank's going to be done in about a minute and a half. I'm putting the battery in. I just was off to the sides, kind of had a little spot where they were paying attention to him for the moment. I'm going, if he starts the next song and I'm not on stage, I'm so dead. I was so embarrassed that this happened. And I got the thing, and I got it back on, and I got up on stage, and I plugged in, and I turned the volumes on. I go, the bass came back. It was the battery. 1, 2, 1, 2. Big band song. Bing, ding, I had to come right in. It was.
Wow.
I was dead. I was so messed up. I was so
can just see you just
embarrassed.
I can see you just totally frantic. Yeah.
I had to stay calm within the thing, and I had to do everything really right without screwing up, and it happened. It was just like God was with me on that one. I was.
That's almost like a flash. Do you ever get flashbacks of that though? Because that's so. I mean, it's like first date. You're trying to open the door with your girlfriend on the first date. You're just.
Oh my God! Oh, it was unbelievable. I wouldn't be here. No, and people saw it happening. They were going like, "Okay, the bassist left the building for like the last half of this song," and I'm going. I'm trying not to be cool, but that was very, very embarrassing for me. Oh, I pulled it off, got out of it.
I know you got to shake it off, Robbie.
Woo!
There's a couple things that come to mind. Probably most recently, I was just starting the tour with Roger. Our first, I think I was like 2 weeks in. I can't remember where we were. I think we may have been in Canada, Air Toronto, like 20,000 people, right? And there's a part of the show where they build the wall, right? And you can't see the band at all behind the wall. And we can't see the audience because we're just behind the wall and the band's playing there. And the first song after the intermission is Hey You. Hey you, out there in the cold, right? And it's me. It's guitar vocal. So it's very, very naked, basically. It's just guitar vocal. And I get the first verse. I'm, hey you, out there in the cold. I'm like, wow, this is cool. And I hear the audience. I lose my focus on the next verse. And I'm like, hey, and I'm just making up words with the melody, and then I'm kind of throwing some words in there. I'm going, oh shit, and I'm like, don't panic. And I finally I just messed up like a verse. And then after the show, I just went, we were at, going on the plane or something. I said, Roger, I'm so sorry, man. I said, I totally messed up. hey, you, I said, you know, it'll never happen again. He goes, oh, really, Robbie? I didn't know that. He goes, good cover, man. What, don't worry about it, man. You know, he was like so cool about it. But that was pretty embarrassing for me because I was just, you know, getting rolling in the band. But the other thing was pretty embarrassing. I was doing a gig for this, you know, big high-profile wedding, right? And it was a wedding gig, and it was in the first dance was "The Way You Look Tonight" by Frank Sinatra, you know. So I go up there, and you know, band kicks in, and I have a microphone stand. It's with the round bass, and it's part of it. The bass is on the dance floor, and part of it's not. So there's like a little gap there, you know. So I walk up there, you know, I'm coming in to go someday, and so I come singing someday when I'm awfully low, and I accidentally stepped on the microphone base, and the mic goes whack, smacks me in the mouth, splits my lip open, and chips my tooth, and I had to keep singing when I'm awfully low. I'm like, bam! I'm like, oh, the world is cold. So I had to keep singing through it, and I just afterwards, I was just like bleeding, and I still got a chipped tooth. But that was pretty.
I feel really sorry for all you guys, man. I really feel bad. No, everyone's most embarrassing is it's almost always on the stage. What was your biggest celebrity moment where you met someone you that made you maybe nervous when you were starting off? Or
oh, that's easy for me. It's probably the same for Corey. Paul Anka. We were working with Paul Anka at one moment, and we were in Vegas, and Frank Sinatra was playing at one of the clubs in Vegas, and Paul said, "You guys want to go see him?" And, yeah, sure, we do. You bet. So we had great seats, and it was Corey, me, and Paul, and I think our manager. I don't know if Steve was there. Was Steve there? Corey?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the whole band.
And, I mean, we were close enough he could sweat on us, you know, but it was unbelievable, and it was a great show, and it was Frank, for God's sakes. Then after the show, Paul says, "Hey, you guys want to go say hi to Frank?" Yes, you know, it was like, wow. So
it's like meeting Jesus.
Oh my God! So we go knock on the stage door. The door opens, and it's freaking Frank. Come on in, boys.
He's pouring himself a little cocktail.
Yeah, he says, "You guys want a drink?" And we sat down and had drinks with Frank. And cool. He knew who we were. He knew that we had played up the Strip a month before, and he said, "I wanted to come and see you guys, but I was working that night." And I mean,
that was pretty awesome.
Total music, man.
Well, you know, also that show, it wasn't a show. We were doing a benefit, and Paul Anka called me and said, I said hello, and he goes, "Hi, Corey, this is Paul Anka." And I thought it was somebody screwing with us, because we had a publicist that represented him and represented us, and Burt Bacharach and a bunch of people. But there was early in this guy representing us, and all of a sudden Paul calls and said, "Listen, I want you guys to come to Las Vegas and do my telethon." He said, "I love the band, and I want to send my plane for you guys, and we'll just have a great time." So it was like one of those, kind of, Cinderella moments, where you're just like, this is really awesome. So we fly to Vegas, and we get there, and Paul starts introducing us to people that are on the show. And that one day we met Dean Martin, we met Paul Anka for the first time. We met Milton Berle, Michael Jackson. We were in the rehearsal at
Uncle Milty,
and Michael Jackson does the moonwalk in his rehearsal, and we're just a bunch of knuckleheads sitting in the audience, and it was amazing, really. And it was like a walk through the stars. And then we hung out with Anka that night, and the ironic thing is that Paul Anka lives right across the street from me now.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's like I've known him for all those years. We've stayed in touch and stuff, but it just was amazing. This house was for sale, and I saw it sold, and I asked the realtor, and I said, "Who's moving in there?" And she said, "Paul Anka." I said, "You got to be kidding me!" So it's kind of fun. But
you still live beside Paul Anka?
Oh yeah, right across the street. In fact, if you want me to bring him in, I can.
You know what's funny about that?
Go get him coffee.
You know what's funny about that initial call from Paul? Because right after Paul called Corey, they agreed to do the telethon. Then Paul called my house, and I was out at the beach and at Stinson, and the phone rang. I picked, hello, Dave, this is Paul Anka. Yeah, right. And I hung it up, and then it rings again. Dave, don't hang up. This really is Paul Anka. And then he explained the whole telethon thing, but oh my God.
Okay.
But that was this publicist, David Guest. I don't know if you know who David Guest is. God bless him. He passed away, but he was really an amazing publicist, and he put all kinds of different people together that were part of his roster, and that happened again. I got a call and it was like, "Hi, Corey, this is Burt Bacharach." And I'm like,
You didn't hang up on him though,
"There's
right?
no way this is Burt Bacharach." Was, by the way, probably my favorite writer of all time, and you know, and we got to meet him as well, and you know, it's just kind of a fun time.
Larry and Robbie?
Go ahead, Robbie.
We went to the pre-Grammy party, and Corey and Paul showed up.
No.
And then next thing I know, Melissa shows up and Burt Bacharach. And you know, Paul Anka, first of all, I met Paul through Corey, and I was just kind of like, you know, here's a living legend. I was just pretty speechless. So what does Corey do? Hey, Robbie, come over. Let's do Ocean Breeze for Paul. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was one of those moments. But we've been drinking wine and we were having a ball. Paul was like in a really good mood, and I said, you know, I want you to hear Robbie sing. And that's like really, you know, it's kind of an uncomfortable deal. But he was totally cool with it, you know. He was totally cool. You know, but it was just him and me and you and I don't know, John or a couple.
Yeah. That was huge for me. You know, even on the road for me, meeting David Gilmour and to get, you know, compliments from him was pretty amazing.
Yeah, considering you were doing his part, yeah.
Yeah, he actually said to me, we were playing the O2 in London, and it was a big, you know, big after party. A lot of people were there, a lot of celebs and stuff. But first time I got to meet him because he sat in with us that night and did Perfectly Numb. And I walked up to him and I said, you know, hey, David, my name is Robbie. It's such a pleasure. You know, I can't tell you how honored I am to be singing your parts in this song. And he goes, oh, really, man? He goes, you have a great voice. And he goes, I thought that was me up there all the time. You know,
that's great.
So, you know,
that's fun.
So were he and Roger like still buddies? Are they buddies?
No, they're not. I wouldn't say buddies, but they get along. They're amicable, you know.
So he'd show up at some of the shows though.
Yeah, he agreed to show up and sit in. Yeah, so he came 2 nights at the O2. First night he was just listening to the show, and then the second night he sat in with us.
What year would that have been?
2012, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now
go ahead, Tim.
David has put recently some of Roger's stuff up, and everyone's going, "Oh my God, they love each other again." And I'm going, and they always want me to write on this stuff, and I'm going, "What do you want me to say? You don't have any concrete stuff. They just put a thing on. I don't do rumors on my website. Like, come on." You know? Yeah,
but even on stage at the end of the night, you know, when David was with us, he got on stage and it was a pretty surreal moment because I was like, it was one of the background singers, Kip Lennon, myself. Then to my left was Nick Mason, David Gilmour, and Roger Waters, the 3 living members of Pink Floyd. And Kip's like, dude, you believe this? You know, we're like Yankee Stadium or something. He's just like, O2. Yeah, it was, and you could tell when he introduced David Gilmour, Roger welled up. He got really emotional. So they're still, you know, they get along as far as I know, and I don't think they're buddies by any means, but you know, yeah, it was cool moment.
Larry, you got one?
You know, meeting Hanks, of course, right? Hero. That was all the people that came with him was like Peter Scolari was there. And I was like the first day, I always watched those guys in Bosom Buddies when I was a kid. So I was this guy who's just thrown in this movie all of a sudden. And then Tom Hanks comes up to me. He's got Peter Scolari with him. He goes, I hear you do a good Captain Kirk. So I had to go into the Wrath of Farrakhan. You can't come in here and talk to me like that. You know, because Kevin Pollak was on the set too, right? And he did it. So I think Mark Wilson, the music supervisor, said, Larry. So I'm like making Hanks and Scolari laugh. And I'm going, I'm just this guy. They're the geniuses that I can't believe they even give me this opportunity to do my one good impression. But anyway, there's everybody showing it. I don't know. We get kind of starstruck, you know. But
what about when we met Will Ferrell? That was pretty cool. And John C.
Where was that?
You guys, yeah.
That was pretty
incredible.
Cool.
He made everybody feel pretty relaxed too, you know. It wasn't like
I meet Mike Myers when I was in the Austin Powers movie. I was an extra. I was an evil henchman in the movie. So during the breaks on set, he was we were in the volcanic lair and he was Fat Bastard, you know, dressed up as Fat Bastard. We were just talking. He was so cool, but he was always in character. But he's a big hockey fan, and so am I. So we're talking about hockey, and it's like, wow, Mike Myers is like the coolest dude.
I'm always surprised when they have the rollout, I don't know what those people that do the top 10s all the time, they get like a gazillion views. They always put Mike Myers in the hardest to work with category, and I'm going, it doesn't seem like that.
Wow.
I've never worked with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was on other levels, but he was super, super nice.
What you gonna do? Like I was telling you, Dave, that, and I'll tell the other guys, we'd be in high school and we'd pass by each other, and we love Pablo Cruz so much we'd go dang, 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 when we pass by each other in the hallway at school. That was kind of like our sign. Okay, let's start there. Where'd you come up with that? Like, what inspired that?
You know, we used to jam a lot, you know. I mean, we were a jam band originally. I mean, sometimes we would just jam on riffs forever, you know. It was like, what about writing the song? Oh, let's just jam some more. So you know, the riffs just came out, you know, out of playing. So that one just came out of playing it.
Well, that's classic. Everyone remembers that. You do that to anyone, they'll know what song that is.
You know what's funny? I live in Nashville part of the time. My wife's from here, and she knows pretty much everybody in town, you know, as far as all the musicians and singers and stuff. And it's really interesting to meet these really iconic players, but they all have a great respect for Pablo Cruz. I met a guitarist named Brent Mason, like one of the first call guys in this town. He's always been just unbelievable. He plays stuff on the guitar that just isn't possible. And Jamie, we were at a restaurant. And I said, I think that's Brent Mason. She goes, yeah. So, well, you want to meet him? So she brings him back to the table to introduce me. And the first thing he says to me is, I've always been a fan of yours, but it's because of those records and those solos and those riffs, you know. But that made me feel pretty good. Yeah.
Now, what you're going to do was kind of, it took a while to get to what you're going to do. It was sort of probably two other completely different arrangements that led to it. We had this one song that was on our first album called Island Woman. The keyboard riff on that song, I started playing it again and singing some phrasing with Dave. And we originally were playing it with the keyboard, but that being kind of the base of the tune. And you know, eventually Dave changed the arrangement, and which was great, and let the riff take over. But we wrote that in a hotel room up in St. Louis, right in front of the Arch. And I remember we were on the road, and when the band was starting to pick up some momentum, it was before they hit, but we were out on the road with the Doobie Brothers. Pretty much came up with most of that song right there, especially the hook and all.
What about Love Will Find a Way? Did you guys, like songs like that? I mean, they both reached, I think, number 6, which is amazing. Did you know? I mean, when an album's done, I mean, you're dealing with 12 songs or whatever the amount of songs is, and they're all your babies, whether you wrote them or not. You all worked on them. Did you know, like Love Will Find a Way, for instance? Did you know you had something there?
I was pretty confident we had something there.
It was, but the funny thing about that is it took a minute to get the whole thing, the arrangement down. And we were at the record plant, and just getting the actual track down. And so we got it down, we rehearsed it, played it, recorded it, and everybody listened to it. There were no lyrics, no melodies. It was like our producers going, "This is a hit track, you need to finish this song."
Wait a minute. He knew at that point.
Well, we all did. It was it was a pretty loving track. You know, it came on when you heard it. It worked. There were no lyrics or anything. And then there was a huge challenge. You know, we went down to Los Angeles to finish the record, and Dave and I were held up in this apartment, and we just beat the shit out of it to get a song. But it was really tough because it was such a good track, right? I mean, the same thing with another song on that album called "Don't Want to Live Without It." Same thing.
Yeah,
no song. So.
That's the one that Corey and I jammed on the major part of the riff for 2 weeks in Hawaii, just trying to come up with the lyric on the thing.
Sometimes when you have a riff that's just so good that it psychs you out. It's like, where do I go with this? You know, because it's just the first part of that song is going to be a riff, and it's like, how do I get to the next part, and how can I keep it that good?
I got to keep. I have to be excited about the words as excited as the music, because and you got to know, bounce off each other to kind of get the perspective, because you think you got something good, and then you listen to it again an hour later. Sometimes you go, "That's really not great, is it?" And so having a co-writer,
it's true.
Great. You can fall in love with your own idea. That's the problem with those kind of things. Sometimes if you don't have someone there.
Yeah, that's the co-writing. If 2, 3, 4 guys get together and they keep each other honest, then you got something great.
Right.
Larry and Robbie, what about you guys playing these iconic songs?
Well, for me, it's been such a treat. I mean, Dave Jenkins has been an influence on me since I've been a Pablo Cruz fan. So to again, it's kind of to be singing these songs. It's a huge honor for me as well.
Total honor.
Total
You
honor.
know.
Man. I can't even tell you. It's like I said, it's come full circle. It's like, wow, I'm singing for Pablo Cruz.
Corey,
And I try to, it just
Corey, I see a pay cut.
Dave's amazing vocals back. I was just, it's
Yeah, he's getting a pay cut. Well, let me tell you what I think about my role in this band. I've been here 10 years. No, I'm just kidding.
You get a gold watch.
Here's a million hits right here.
One thing that's important to know truly is we're very lucky because we have the synergy and the friendship in this band because
Yeah,
as you
amen.
said earlier, bands can be really tough. I think you were kind of leading to that. And we really have a good time on the road. There's a lot of laughs and everybody is, really dedicated to making it a great show, and it's really a pleasure to have, Robbie and Larry, because they act as a huge catalyst for Dave and I, so we could, continue the shows. And, I think it's better. The shows are better than they've ever been.
Well, I was looking at
everybody.
when I was looking at the resumes of Larry and Robbie, there was a part of me of going, you guys are fooling around. Like, I mean, obviously you two have been in the band since the beginning, but I talked to the Toto Boys about this when they hired Shem and they're always hiring top, really guys who have, like I said a while ago, have done the work. What about Love Will Find a Way? Like songs like that. I mean, they both reached, I think, number 6, which is amazing. Did you know? I mean, when an album's done, I mean, you're dealing with 12 songs or whatever the amount of songs is, and they're all your babies, whether you wrote them or not. You all worked on them. Did you know? Like Love Will Find a Way, for instance. Did you know you had something there?
I was pretty confident we had something there.
It was, but the funny thing about that is it took a minute to get the whole thing, the arrangement down. And we were at the record plant and, just getting the actual track down. And so we got it down, we rehearsed it, played it, recorded it, and everybody listened to it. There were no lyrics, no melodies. It was like our producers going, this is a hit track, you need to finish this song.
Wait a minute. He knew at that point.
Well, we all did. It was it was a pretty loving track. It came on when you heard it. It worked. There were no lyrics or anything. And then there was a huge challenge. We went down to Los Angeles to finish the record, and Dave and I were held up in this apartment, and we just beat the shit out of it to get a song. But it was really tough because it was such a good track, right? I mean, the same thing with another song on that album called Don't Want to Live Without It. Same thing.
Yeah.
No song. So.
That's the one that Corey and I jammed on the major part of the riff for 2 weeks in Hawaii, just trying to come up with the lyric on the thing.
Sometimes when you have a riff that's just so good that it psychs you out. It's like, where do I go with this? Because it's just the first part of that song is going to be a riff. And it's like, how do I get to the next part, and how can I keep it that good?
I got to I have to be excited about the words as excited as the music, because and you got to bounce off each other to kind of get the perspective, because you think you got something good, and then you listen to it again an hour later. Sometimes you go, that's really not great, is it? And so having a co-writer is
true.
Great.
You can fall in love with your own idea. That's the problem with those kind of things sometimes. If you don't have someone there.
That's the co-writing. If 2, 3, 4 guys get together and they keep each other honest, then you got something great.
Right.
Larry and Robbie, what about you guys playing these iconic songs?
Well, for me, it's been such a treat. I mean, Dave Jenkins has been an influence on me since I've been a Pablo Cruz fan. So to again, it's kind of to be singing these songs, it's a huge honor for me as well.
Total honor.
Total honor. I mean, I can't even tell you. It's like I said, it's come full circle. It's like, wow, I'm singing for Pablo Cruz.
Corey,
and I try to, it's just
Corey, I see a pay cut.
Dave's amazing vocals back. I was just.
He's getting a pay cut. Well, let me tell you what I think about my role in this band. I've been here 10 years. No, I'm just kidding.
You get a gold watch.
Here's a million hits right here.
One thing that's important to know truly is we're very lucky because we have the synergy and the friendship in this band because as you said earlier, bands can be really tough. I think you were kind of leading to that. And we really have a good time on the road. There's a lot of laughs, and everybody is, really dedicated to making it a great show, and it's really a pleasure to have, you know, Robbie and Larry, because they act as a huge catalyst for Dave and I, so we could, you know, continue the shows. And, you know, I think it's better. The shows are better than they've ever been.
Well, I was looking at
everybody.
When I was looking at the resumes of Larry and Robbie, there was a part of me of going, you guys are fooling around. Like, I mean, you know, obviously you two have been in the band since the beginning, but I talked to the Toto Boys about this when they hired Shem, and you know, they're always hiring top, you know, really guys who have, like I said a while ago, have done the work. I know we're getting close on time here, but Yacht Rock, Luke was the only guy, Lukather was the only guy who kind of went, what the hell? I don't know what it is. Like, you know, and he did it in a Sammy Davis Jr. voice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, babe.
Well, what do you think of the term? I mean, is it just, does it really matter?
I'm not sure what that actually means. If we all had yachts, I think it would make sense to me, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Well, it reminds you of the laid-back lifestyle, the ocean with the margarita on the deck of this boat, and the girls are coming.
So it's music for rich people with
Kenny
yachts.
Loggins and the Pablo.
Yeah, I'm not really offended by it. I think that, you know, it's, hey, if there was ever a yacht rock band, Pablo started it, you know.
And you got bands like Steely Dan's under the yacht rock category.
Yeah.
Sure. They were
all the bands, a lot of the bands we work with, Ambrosia, Orleans, all those bands kind of fall into that. You know, it's
Toto a yacht rock band.
Well, some people are categorized. I talked to Steve Picaro about this as well. You know, I know that Steve had worked with you guys on. Is that the album that you worked with Ali Willis?
No, it was before that album.
Okay.
It was the World's Away album is one Steve and Mike both played on.
Yeah.
Mike Picaro played bass on Love Will Find a Way and Don't Want to Live Without It.
Yeah, he played bass on that album, and he played bass on Part of the Game, which was the Ali Willis album.
Who is the best traveling mates as far as touring that you guys have ever had? The bands just really work together really well as far as touring together.
The Doobie Brothers, for sure. The Doobie Brothers kind of, you know, nurtured us. They put us on a bunch of tours really early on, even on our first record. We were friends anyway. We became really good friends, and they were just super supportive. Wouldn't you think, Dave?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. We're still good mates, you know.
You know, we're doing a thing on Pat Simmons because, you know, Pat to me was always the glue that kept that freaking band together. Not that, I mean, I'm such a huge Doobies fan. I got some autographs back there.
Nice.
Pat Simmons, I'd like to include you in that. Anything you want to say about Mr. Patrick Simmons?
Just the mellowest, coolest guys I think I know. I mean, he's just he's a real gentleman, and he's such a great musician, but a really a sweet guy, a really nice guy to know. I like him a lot. Last time we saw them, we played with. Were they on that? Was it the B.R. Cohen?
B.R. Cohen, yeah.
Yeah.
Pat's he's a gentleman, really nice guy. I've known him since college. I met both he and Tommy in college.
You used to like his little guitar ditties between the songs too. I mean, I obviously loved his songs, but Dave.
You know, all those guys are great guys. They're fun to hang with. Corey, you went with us right to the Philippines. Did you do that with us? We went to we did a USO tour with Tommy and Pat and some Cheap Trick guys and
you know what, I don't think I went on the first one, but Pat was there. Well, I don't think Tommy was there.
Oh, the second one was the one Tommy went on with us, and you know it was a lot of laughs and just a great time all around. And I recently, not that recently, but I played a backyard party benefit with David Pack and Mike McDonald. Just us and Amy was there, and my wife was singing with us too, and we raised a ton of money. But Michael is an amazing guy. His voice is iconic. It always will be, and he's just the most quietest, mellow guy you'd ever want to meet in your life.
Super sweet.
How steady Eddie that guy is.